Hi friends, this is Drew Merson coming to you from True Freedom Ministries International. You might have heard of us as TFMI. And today we're talking with Kathy Thomas, and we're going to get right into it because she's going to share with us a little bit about her experience with smoking cessation and what enabled her to get the victory. Because myself being a respiratory therapist, I talk to countless people that have quit and also are wanting to quit, but I have never actually smoked. Besides a couple of puffs on a Black and Mild, besides that, I haven't done it. I've gotten victory over other things, but not smoking. And so it really is helpful from time to time when you can talk to somebody that actually has smoked and quit, because that just makes all the difference. And so let's go ahead and Kathy, it's nice to have you here. Would you mind, as we start, just telling me a little bit about how you got started smoking in the first place?
I started smoking the summer between my junior and senior high school year. And I really had a lot of emotional stuff going on. I grew up in an alcoholic home. And I was the oldest child, so I felt responsible. I did it to myself. I felt responsible for, my brother and my sisters, and trying to be that perfect child to relieve some of the pressure in the home. And my parents smoked, and my mom smoked a lot. And so I noticed that when she was under stress that she would pick up a cigarette, and so I started smoking with my friends. And I think that's a common thing that happens in talking to other people in smoking cessation classes, especially women, I would say. And I smoked that summer, and I smoked during my senior year. Of course, I was in school, so not as much. But after I graduated, I went to dental nurses school in San Francisco. And the commute, I was a little nervous about the commute. That was new for me, traveling that far. And so I noticed my smoking increased. So over the years, I wonder if I didn't have maybe a small anxiety disorder, I don't know, or whether I was just stressed and didn't know what to do with my stress. And of course, I grew up in a Catholic school church, so I knew how to pray. And I didn't put prayer and not smoking together until I had my first child. And after that baby was born, I was really aware of smoke in the house. And during the pregnancy, I didn't smoke, but after she was born, I started smoking again. And my smoking increased after that period of not smoking. Then I had a second child. I quit during that pregnancy, and the house smelled better. I smelled better. People didn't back away from me. I was very aware of the consequences of smoking. After my second child was born and I started smoking again, I increased even more. So where in the very beginning I didn't even smoke a pack, during high school, after my first child I was smoking a pack of cigarettes a day.
Wow.
Then after my second child, I was smoking a good pack a day. I was married for many years and went through a divorce, and I increased my smoking during the divorce time. And that's when I learned about meditation. And so I decided I would try meditation as a way to maybe ease my smoking. And if I could replace that and the good thoughts, I could probably back off the cigarettes. What I didn't know was that I wasn't only addicted with the habits of, puffing and having the cigarettes and putting the lighter in, that kind of thing. I was also becoming very addicted to whatever was in the cigarette itself.
So it wasn't just a habit, it was actually, you had both.
I had both.
So there was a nicotine addiction too.
Correct. And so I became aware of that. And that's when I noticed when I would try not to smoke, that I would be a little more anxious. So then I thought, oh, maybe there's some anxiety to that. So the meditation and prayer kind of quieted my mind. But as anybody knows, when a situation comes up and you're reacting to it real quick instead of responding to it, and there's a difference for me, then I noticed if I didn't try to do something about it, I would pick up a cigarette and not even realize I was doing that.
You know, it's
until
funny.
It was pointed out to me.
It's funny that you say that, because I have talked to so many people that have quit, some for like 11, 12 years, and then a certain stress comes up and they're right back as though they never quit.
I agree. I know many too. I 7 years later had my third child, and after that baby was born, I started smoking again. That's when I went through a divorce after that, and a big move from one area to another, and my smoking increased to now 3 packs a day.
Wow. So 60 cigarettes a day.
A day.
Wow.
And I inhaled deeply. So I feel like I know what it would be like to be addicted to drugs or alcohol.
I would say so.
And I think I could relate to my parents' alcoholism with my cigarettes.
Yeah.
And so it changed how I felt about them. I had a lot of empathy for them and could forgive that, and made my life easier. So I started looking around for smoking cessation classes.
Okay.
And I had taken one in the Bay Area before I moved up here to Red Bluff. And I learned that a few things worked for me the first 2 times I quit. If I removed myself from the situation and took a walk, it would also change my thoughts, and I wouldn't smoke. And I learned that an urge, they told us at that time that an urge would last about 20 minutes on average and no longer. And so I thought, oh, I can deal with 20 minutes.
So that's what they told you at the class.
At the class,
Okay.
we were taught that.
All right.
And that was many years ago, but that's what we were
Right,
taught.
yeah.
And so that helped me. And I was taking a jazzercise class, so I was exercising a little bit. That helped me. But I still was smoking.
Okay.
And then finally I quit at the end of that session. When they had us quit, I quit.
You did.
And I quit for 2 years.
Wow.
And that was really good. I should back that up. That was before I moved up here.
Okay.
So when I moved up here and started smoking again, or just before that move, that is when I went into 3 packs a day. So when I was up here, I was smoking 3 packs a day. Many things happened. My husband bought a business, so we were busy. My husband had a heart attack, and a new grandchild was born.
Okay.
So the first thing, when my granddaughter was born, we were going to make a trip to the Bay Area to visit. I didn't want to smell like cigarette smoke. So for the first time, I bought a patch.
Okay.
So I was wearing the patches, and I thought, this will work. And I could manage the urges while I'm on a patch. And then it said, well, it's just like not smoking wearing the patch. It's like you're smoking, so you don't have to worry about it. That worked for that visit. We went down that weekend, and we had Thanksgiving. It was great. I didn't smoke. I felt good about handling the baby and not having any cigarette on me.
Yeah.
Made it easy all the way around for everybody. And this little family was so sweet and hospitable. They had a place out in the garage for my mom to go smoke. And I got the chance to kind of see myself through her and what that was like for the people around me. And so my awarenesses, the whole time I smoked, were increasing about myself. When we came back up to Red Bluff, a while later, my husband had a heart attack, and it was like, oh, we cannot smoke. I have to quit. At the same time that happened, I was answering the phone at his work a lot. And I noticed that I would try to answer the phone and say, good morning, this is, and I'd start coughing. So as I inhaled, all the cilia, the little hairs in your throat or in your lungs, were preventing me from completing a sentence. I absolutely could not complete a sentence. That's what 3 packs of cigarettes a day bought me.
Well, I imagine that was pretty frightening.
It was disgusting, and it was frightening. And it was the impetus that made me, I'm going to quit again. So that day I did better, and I backed off. I was down to 4 cigarettes a day. And I remember from one of the smoking cessation classes, they said, 4 cigarettes a day keeps the addiction going. It was like, oh, this is it. So I determined that was it. I would just say no more. So the next morning I took a shower, and I wasn't going to work until noon. So about 9 o'clock I was starting to think, I'd like to have a cigarette. Well, I'll take a walk. So I went outside and I took a walk. I didn't smoke at that time. I came back in and I thought, I'll do the bills because it'll keep my mind busy. I won't think about cigarettes and smoking. So I was doing that, and this urge was overwhelming me. And I still today remember how that felt. It was like an hour later, I still wanted this cigarette. This urge. An hour.
And it was only supposed to be 20 minutes.
And I know it was an hour because there was a TV program on.
Okay.
And it started and finished, and I still had this urge while I was paying these bills. And I said, God, you've got to help me out here. I am not going to smoke today. So, and I kept paying the bills, but this urge, I finally went out, got my cigarettes, a pack of cigarettes. And I looked at them, and I said, oh, that was the answer, God. I went into my bedroom, and I knelt next to my bed, and I sort of made a deal with him. I don't know if we're supposed to do that, but that's kind of what I did with God.
Okay, so you got down.
So I got on my knees, and I said, I folded my hands, and I was really praying with all my heart. I was really begging in the form of a prayer. And I said, God, if you will please remove the bigness of this urge to smoke, I will do the rest of the work. I will pay attention to my urges. I will take a walk. I will change my thoughts. And I will hold you in highest esteem. And then I remembered, with God, all things are possible.
Right then.
At that moment.
Wow.
And I took my cigarettes, and I put them between my mattress, just in case. Every addict might want one more. So I put them between my mattress, and I forgot that I even put them there. And from that moment on, I never had another cigarette.
Wow.
And I didn't even have a big urge to smoke. I mean, I knew that God had performed a little miracle in my life, and I was so grateful to His help and His holiness, because I couldn't do it by myself. I had tried, so many things. And when the patch didn't even work, it was like, what else is there? Well, what there is His goodness, because that's what He gives us, the grace to carry on. And when I met you the other night, you asked me about how I quit, and I was telling you this exact story. I went home, and I was really touched in my heart about how He has worked in my life. And I just would like to share also that many things have happened in our lives. I remember the day I was diagnosed with chronic leukemia, and we were in the emergency room, and the doctor came out and he said, we've never found this diagnosis here at the hospital. It's a first for us. I'm sorry to tell you, you have leukemia. And my husband started to cry, and the nurse had tears running down her cheek. And I thought, with God, all things are possible. And I found joy in my heart, and I was helping other people feel better. And that's how it's been for me all these years since.
Wow.
I've had no chemotherapy. I take medicine for it. And I've stayed in the chronic stage for years now.
Wow, what a testimony.
And I don't even tell people I have leukemia because I don't want people coming up and saying, "Oh, I'm so sorry." You know, when I quit smoking, it was like, "You quit smoking? You did that?"
Yeah.
You know, and I had lost family because they couldn't be in the presence of the smoke. So this time I thought, I'll just do it different. And I just kept it to myself and my husband and one or two other people. And so people greeted me with good greetings because they didn't know.
Mm.
And I think that also has kept up that Christ spirit inside of me.
Wow.
So God is truly good.
He is. You know, I am just so thankful that you shared this. I'm just very encouraged, and I know others are too. Could you just mention briefly what is your life like now that you've quit? How much better is it now?
Oh, you know, it's really interesting. My husband and I now have both quit. I really had that motivation too because I didn't want him smoking after his heart attack. And so it took him longer to quit smoking because he was still working. We sold the business and we bought a new home. And the first week we were in our new home, he was on his way to the grocery store and he said, "Is there anything I can get for you?" And I said, "Yes, I would like you to come back a non-smoker."
Mm.
And as he left, I said, "God, please be with his heart. We have a new beginning here. We're starting our retirement. Please be with him." And he came back, and he has never touched another cigarette again. So we feel like we've been doubly touched.
You have. You really have.
And we often laugh at, every once in a while we'll say, "Oh, I'd really like to have a cigarette." And he says, "Yeah, me too." And inevitably somebody will walk by with a cigarette and we have to turn away from the smoke because we can't even inhale it or smell it.
Mm.
And we feel that our health has become much better because we don't smoke. We think we're lucky that we're not asthmatics. My husband's on a CPAP. Other than that, no other symptoms. His heart is good now. The blood pressure is good. All the things are good. So we think that not smoking is helping us. We think we have saved a ton of money.
Oh,
We
okay.
cannot imagine the price of cigarettes today, anybody being even able to purchase them. The other way I think it enhances our life is when we walk into a crowd or go someplace new, we don't have to worry about, "Oh, do we reek of tobacco?"
Yeah.
You know, it's a big deal. And probably lots of other ways which aren't coming to my mind right now. But
That's okay. No, I appreciate it. One last question for you. And, you know, I really appreciate you taking the time because I know that this is encouraging to others. Do you have any advice or encouragement? Maybe you could look at the camera and just speak to those that are watching this. Do you have anything that you'd like to say to them? Because they're watching this wondering, can this really happen to me?
for me,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, I would like to say that, number one, don't ever give up. We had a gentleman, a truck driver in our smoking cessation class. He had tried 9 times, 9 years in a row, and he quit smoking, and I know that he is still a non-smoker. So I think it's really important not ever to give up. I also think that we can try lots and lots of methods and become more aware of why we're smoking. But I really believe that without a power greater than ourselves, whatever that power is for you, to invite this into your life, because it will make an immense difference, especially in this day and age when we need to be a model for so many children who are struggling and need so much help, that there is a way other than using cigarettes, food, drugs, alcohol, etc. I struggle sometimes with sugar and food addiction myself, and when I remember to add I now bless each meal, and I bless the pills that I take for my leukemia. I ask God to watch over everything I do and say, and invite Him into my life every minute of every day. And I really believe that with all my heart, this is what's made the difference for me.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Friends, I hope that this has encouraged you today. And this is Drew from True Freedom Ministries International. And I would just like to close and pray for you as you're looking to make this decision your own to quit smoking. And so, would you mind if we prayed for those watching?
I would love that.
Okay, Father in heaven, thank you so much for this powerful testimony, because there's so many people in the world today that are wondering, can I quit smoking? And is there any source of strength out there? Maybe they've only known a form or a theory of religion, but they've never experienced a God like we've heard about today, that is very near and is willing to hear the sincere prayer of those that really want to know Him better and to have a better quality of life and to overcome these types of addictions. And we've seen it today, and it can be true for those watching if they will just believe. And so my prayer is for those that are weighing the decision whether or not to give you a try and to pray to you. I pray that you would hear their prayer, and whether it's over a course of a few weeks of working with them to overcome smoking, or whether you're going to do like you did for Kathy and take away that craving the moment she prayed, I pray that you would be with them and give them complete victory and use them to encourage others. And all these things we pray in Jesus' name.